Hello Reddit. I feel it's time to delve deep into the painful events that unfolded on my wedding day and beyond. The morning of my wedding was a whirlwind of nerves and excitement, typical for any bride. My sister, Kate, was my maid of honor, but even from the start, her behavior hinted at something amiss. She seemed unusually fixated on every detail, from the seating arrangements to the choice of flowers. I brushed it off as pre-wedding jitters, not realizing then the depth of her jealousy. As the day progressed, Kate's need for attention became increasingly apparent. She made subtle changes to the program, insisting on alterations that drew more focus to her role. Her dress, while elegant, rivaled mine in extravagance, and I sensed her desire to overshadow the bride. Despite these unsettling signs, I was determined to enjoy my special day and pushed aside any doubts. The real shock came during the reception. I caught a glimpse of Kate and Mark, my newlywed husband, sneaking away into a quiet corner. At first, I dismissed it as Kate offering her congratulations or perhaps trying to comfort Mark in her own theatrical way. However, as the night wore on, Mark's demeanor shifted. He grew distant, distracted, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had transpired between them. In the weeks that followed, my marriage seemed to unravel before it truly began. Mark's work trips became more frequent and suspicious. He'd return with gifts, claiming they were for colleagues, but his explanations grew more vague and rehearsed. My instincts told me something was wrong, but I desperately clung to the hope that it was just stress or misunderstandings. It was a routine day when I stumbled upon the truth. A misplaced email, a lingering suspicion, everything pointed to an affair with a coworker who lived across the country. The evidence was irrefutable: romantic getaways, lavish gifts, and intimate messages that shattered the illusion of our marriage. Devastated and betrayed, I confronted Mark. He initially denied everything, but faced with the overwhelming evidence, he admitted to the affair. His apologies were hollow, his remorse tainted by excuses and justifications. At that moment I saw him as a victim of my sister's horrible manipulations. You see, as I pieced together the puzzle, I discovered that Kate had orchestrated much of the chaos on my wedding day deliberately. Her jealousy had grown into something darker, feelings for Mark that she believed were reciprocated. She saw my happiness as a threat and my marriage as an obstacle to her desires. Confronting Kate was a harrowing experience. She initially denied any wrongdoing, but as I laid out the evidence and my heartbreak, she crumbled. Tearful confessions followed: the stolen glances, the secret meetings, the misguided belief that Mark's attention was genuine. She saw herself as a victim of unrequited love, unable to grasp the devastation she had wrought upon our family. Blame was a heavy burden in those days. I blamed Kate for her advances, for betraying my trust and tearing apart my marriage. But most of all, I blamed myself for missing the signs, for trusting too easily, for not seeing the jealousy festering beneath the surface. In the aftermath, I severed ties with Kate. The sisterly bond we once shared was irreparably damaged, replaced by a chasm of hurt and mistrust. I sought solace in therapy, in the unwavering support of friends who stood by me through the darkest days. Their encouragement gave me the strength to rebuild, to reclaim my sense of self-worth and resilience. Update. Hello Reddit. I'm back with another update. I know many of you will be shocked and some even disappointed by my decision, but I feel it's important to share my journey and explain why I have chosen to stay with my husband, Mark. Your comments and support have meant a lot to me, and I want to be as open and honest as possible about my reasons. After discovering Mark's affair and confronting both him and my sister Kate, I was ready to walk away from my marriage. The betrayal was immense, and I felt like my world had crumbled. But as I started the process of rebuilding my life, I found myself wrestling with complex emotions that I couldn't simply ignore. Mark was genuinely remorseful. He took full responsibility for his actions, without attempting to blame Kate or make excuses. He acknowledged the pain he had caused and expressed a deep desire to make amends. His sincerity struck a chord with me, making me question the black and white nature of the situation. He proposed counseling, both individual and couples therapy, as a step towards healing. Initially, I was skeptical. How could therapy possibly mend the shattered trust and deep wounds inflicted by his betrayal? But I agreed, if only to gain clarity and closure. The sessions were grueling, forcing us both to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and our relationship. We uncovered underlying issues that had festered long before the affair: communication breakdowns, unmet emotional needs, and unspoken resentments. In therapy, Mark revealed a side of himself that I hadn't fully understood. He spoke of his insecurities, his feelings of inadequacy, and the immense pressure he felt to be the perfect husband. These vulnerabilities didn't excuse his actions, but they provided context. It was painful to realize that while I saw him as the betrayer, he was also deeply flawed and hurting. This understanding didn't absolve him but humanized him in a way that made forgiveness seem possible. Through therapy, we also revisited the good times in our relationship: the shared dreams, the mutual support, and the love that had once been so strong. It reminded me that our relationship wasn't defined solely by his betrayal. We had built a life together, full of beautiful memories and genuine affection. Letting go of that completely felt like discarding a part of myself. Another crucial factor in my decision was the support system we had built around us. Friends and family, though initially shocked and disapproving, gradually began to see the effort Mark was putting into making amends. They saw the changes in him, the earnest attempts to rebuild our relationship, and they started to understand my struggle. Their cautious support provided me with the strength to continue working on our marriage. Then there was Kate. Cutting her out of my life was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. The bond with my sister was deeply rooted, and her betrayal left a scar that I'm not sure will ever fully heal. But removing her influence allowed me to see things more clearly. Without her presence, the toxicity that had tainted my perception of Mark began to dissipate. I could see him for who he truly was, separate from the web of deceit she had spun. Forgiveness is a complex process. It's not about condoning the wrongdoing but about finding peace within oneself. I realized that holding on to anger and resentment was only poisoning my own heart. Letting go of that bitterness, while incredibly difficult, was essential for my own healing. And in doing so, I found room for compassion and understanding. Staying with Mark doesn't mean I've forgotten or that I'm naive about the challenges ahead. Trust needs to be rebuilt brick by brick, and it's a long road that we're only beginning to traverse. But the effort he has shown, the changes he has made, and the commitment to becoming a better partner give me hope. I know many of you might think I'm making a mistake, that I'm settling for less than I deserve. But this is my journey, and I have to follow my heart and intuition. Staying with Mark is a decision I've made after much soul-searching and introspection. It's not the easy path, but it's the one I believe in. Thank you for your support and understanding. Your voices have been a guiding light through this dark period, and I hope my story resonates with those who are also grappling with the complexities of love, betrayal, and forgiveness.